Here we go. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Great. Welcome to our event tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Hello. Awesome. Great. It's great to see people coming in. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. As you're joining, feel free to say hi in the chat. You can say hello and let us know where you're joining from. Hello. I'm joining here from Oakland. Oh, awesome. Alabama and New Mexico. Great. I see some other Oakland folks in there too. Welcome, everybody. Oh, great. It's so good to see everyone coming in. Awesome. Again, if you're just joining us, feel free to say hello and where you're coming from, where you're joining from. Awesome. Hi, everybody. We'll give people just a couple more minutes to join. We're getting familiar with that chat box and saying hi and where we're joining from tonight. Awesome. If you'd like to, you could share with us maybe what you're doing to celebrate Earth Day and Earth Week. Is anyone doing anything special this week to celebrate Earth Day and Earth Week? I've been trying to spend some time in my garden, spend some time outside. Nothing yet, right? Oh, great. Doing things at your school. Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing. Oh, great. This is wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing. I love seeing all the things that you've been doing this week. And a lot of stuff happening at school, so that's great to see. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get us started tonight. My name is Jo. I'll be your host for the evening, and I work with Scientific Adventures for Girls. If you're not familiar with our organization, we are working to close the gender gap in science, technology, engineering, and math by providing after-school STEM programming for girls and gender-expansive youth for grades kindergarten through 6th grade. And our goals are really to increase positive attitudes towards STEM, provide hands-on learning opportunities for students, and encourage lifelong learning of STEM subjects. And even though our after-school program is for girls, this event tonight is for everyone, and we are so excited to have you all here. Along with me, we have some incredible partners and collaborators for tonight's event. We are partnering with the Port of Oakland, Berkeley Lab, and Sandia National Laboratories tonight. And we have an amazing team of women here with us tonight. So Luana is a community affairs representative at the Port of Oakland. And Tracy is a Port Associate Environmental Planner and Scientist at the Port of Oakland. Jane is here with us tonight from Sandia Labs. She's an air quality compliance specialist. And from Berkeley Lab, we have Alyssa, the content and instruction coordinator for kindergarten through 12th grade STEM programs, and Natalie, a scientist at Berkeley Lab, and she uses microscopes to look at microbes and study how they help plants to grow, working to produce biofuel and get cleaner air, which is incredible. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Like I said, I'm your host, so before we get started, I just have a couple of reminders. Again, since this is a webinar, we can't see your faces or hear your voices, but we know that you're here when you use the chat function. So please stay engaged, share your ideas and comments in the chat, both with panelists and the rest of the attendees. This event, like all of our family STEAM nights, will be posted on our YouTube in the next few days. So in case you miss anything, or if you don't have the materials tonight, you can still follow along and use the video to try some of these activities on a different day. And then if you have a question for any of our guests, you can use the question and answer feature, and we'll do our best to answer it either during the event or at the end of the event when we have some time to answer some more questions. If you didn't receive a pre-made supply kit, that's okay. We'll post any materials that you'll need in the chat box. And most of what we'll be using tonight, you might be able to find around your home. We'll also be asking the adults in the audience to participate in a few different polls so you can get some information about who's joining us and how you're experiencing the event tonight. So if you received a Family STEAM Night kit in the mail, looks something like this, go ahead and grab it now so you can get ready to follow along. Our Defend Air event will last about 1 hour. And then at the end of the night, we'll be raffling off some really exciting prizes. So stick around so you can see if you're a winner. All right, we're gonna get us started with our very first poll. So adults, this is where we'll need you to answer just a couple of questions about your household and who's joining tonight. The poll will just pop up on your screen. It's just 3 questions, so take a minute or two to answer those as best as you can, and then press submit. And while we're waiting and when you finish, why don't you share in the chat box what is your favorite thing to do outside? And I saw someone earlier said that they like to ride their bike, and that is maybe my favorite thing to do outside too. Awesome. Gardening, basketball, hiking, soccer, great. I'm with you, Amber. I like riding my bike too. Awesome. Keep it coming. We'll use that chat feature all night, so it's so great to see what you all have to say. Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you, everyone. Ooh, I love art with sidewalk chalk. That's a great thing to do outside. Very creative. Okay. Well, thank you for taking the first poll. As a reminder, we'll have 2 more for you later on tonight. But now I think it's time for us to get started and dive into our science demos and activities for the evening. So I'm actually going to get us started. Like we said, tonight is all about air, which is all around us all the time. And although we can't always see it, under some conditions, we can actually start to see some of the things that are happening in the air around us. So I have a question for you. And I'm wondering if you've ever looked outside and noticed that on some days, maybe the mountains in the distance or the city buildings are kind of hard to see. They might look a little hazy, or sometimes you can't see them at all. Have you noticed that? I see a couple of yeses, yeah. And maybe some days, it's the same mountains and buildings are really clear and you can see all of the details. I'm wondering, what do you think causes the mountains to look hazy or be hard to see? Oh, that's great. I see some wonderful ideas. Maybe fire, smoke, and smog and fog. These are all great ideas. Clouds for sure. Awesome. Well, you're right on it. So there are a lot of reasons, and definitely like fog and clouds are a big one, right? We live in a really special area where we get to experience some pretty intense fog and clouds a lot of the time. But some of the other ideas that I'm seeing are the ones that we're going to focus on tonight. And I see people mentioning pollution. Do you think that we can see all of the pollution in the air? Ah, Awesome. So some people are saying no, we can't see all of the pollution in the air. Sometimes we can see some, and some of the things that you've mentioned, right? Maybe the smoke from a wildfire is pollution that we can see. Maybe steam from a factory is pollution that we can see. But there are other types of pollution in the air that we can't always see, like some types of gas or other chemical pollution. So we can't always see it. But we're going to take a closer look at some of the pollution that we can see and try to start to understand this phenomena of what's happening when those mountains or buildings look a little hazy. So we actually have a video to share with you from Jane at Sandia. We're going to put that up for you right now. All right, here we go.
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you all tonight. My name is Jane Romero-Katofsky, and I am an Air Quality Compliance Specialist with Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I also have my lovely assistant, Matilda, with me today. And we have quite the fun experiment to share with you. But first, safety. Matilda is all about safety. In any experiment you perform, you need an adult, lab coat, and safety goggles. Now, I bet you're asking yourself, what is smog? Well, smog is produced when chemical pollutants in the air from pollutant sources such as automobile exhaust, smokestacks, and fumes from chemical solvents such as paint are heated by the sun and react chemically. When these smog-forming chemicals are released into the air, they undergo chemical transformation and produce smog. Now, for my favorite part, the actual experiment. We will need a clean, dry, wide-mouthed glass jar that is slightly damp on the inside, as shown in the picture. Heavy aluminum foil that you will need to mold to the jar as a lid, 2 or 3 ice cubes, matches. There must be adult supervision when the matches are being used, a thin slice of paper that you will twist like I am doing in the video right now. To begin the experiment, you want to place your ice cubes on the aluminum foil lid as you can see in the video. You want to lower the temperature in the glass jar and on the lid. The next step is to remove the aluminum lid and light our twisted piece of paper on fire and drop it in the jar. Please make sure you have adult supervision and help for this part of the experiment. Now we will quickly put our aluminum ice lid back on the jar and pretty much watch the magic happen. As you can see, the ice on the aluminum foil lid is cooling the air in the jar and creating condensation. The smoke from the burning piece of paper will mix with the condensation in the jar, creating the smog. Thanks so much for joining us today. Matilda and I had so much fun.
Awesome. Thank you all for watching that video with us. And I see a couple people being curious. So this is not an experiment that we're going to do today. Like Jane was great to mention, safety first. So we're not going to use any matches. But I do want to ask you, like, what are some things that you noticed? What happened in that jar in the video? See if anyone has any observations that they want to share. Smoke clogged up the jar, smoke pouring out. Awesome. These are great observations. So yeah, and you're right on. So what we noticed was water vapor condensing on soot particles in that jar. And so we were able to see the smog. We actually got to see it inside that jar. And we can observe this phenomena again by really just looking at how clouds form. So this is the chance for, if you want to try this at home, you can follow along with me. So the materials that you'll need are pretty simple, and I'll show you right now. You're just going to need a glass jar with a lid and some ice cubes, a little bit of hairspray, and some hot water, which I have right here. So I'm going to pour a little bit of hot water in my jar and pretty quickly just cover it right up. And we can start to see some of that, just like how you were describing, right? Some condensation happening inside the jar. Why do you think that happens? I see some comments about like ice and heat. And definitely the hot water, we're creating some water vapor in the jar that's quickly being cooled by the ice. And we're starting to see a little bit of something happening in that jar. But this isn't the only step. So we know that we can see the smog form when the water vapor has a particle in the air that it can condensate on. So what I'm going to do next is quickly take the lid off and spray just a little bit of hairspray inside my jar. And we're going to wait for a second and see, it's a little warm, and see if we can notice anything else happening inside. And actually, if you're trying this at home, look closely because you can see some movement inside of the jar. And what's happening is, just like we noticed with the smog, clouds are forming when water vapor starts to condense on particles in the air. So those particles could be things like dust or pollen. They can be soot particles from smoke and fire. And they can also be other types of chemical pollutants in the air that start to cause these smog-like clouds to form. I'm glad that some of you are seeing it. I'm glad that you had a chance to try it. If this went a little too quickly for you, don't worry, you can always try it again on your own later. But thank you, scientists, for working along with me. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Luana and Tracy from the Port of Oakland.
Good evening, my name is Luana Spagna, and I'm going to introduce the Port of Oakland and then our very own port scientist and engineer, Tracy. So the Port of Oakland oversees the Oakland Seaport, the Oakland International Airport, and nearly 20 miles of waterfront, including Jack London Square. The Oakland Seaport is a busy container port and handles most of the containerized goods in Northern California. Passengers and cargo move through the Oakland International Airport to their destinations. Port scientists and engineers make sure we do everything as cleanly as possible while still accomplishing the important work of moving cargo efficiently and moving people safely. So why do you think air is important to us? Oxygen for breathing. Without it, we can't breathe. To help us breathe? Great. These are some important reasons why air is definitely important to us. So why do you think it's important that we have clean air in our environment? Okay, that's good. So I see we need fresh air to breathe, and if we're breathing bad air, we can get sick. Yes, these are some important reasons. So as you can see, air is all around us, even though we can't see it, but we know it's there. And pollution can get in the air from natural events. We all remember the wildfires and the orange sky, volcanoes, or from even cows. And pollution can also come from human causes, like cars and factories and power plants that make the electricity we use. So scientists and engineers at the port are working to reduce the emissions in Oakland. Let's hear from a port engineer.
Thank you, Luana. Hi, everyone. My name is Tracy Fidel. I'm a civil engineer. and I work at the Port of Oakland in the environmental department. So as you probably know, Luana, can you put on this slide with the photos of equipment? There's special photos. I took all the pictures in there and I tried to include some really special ones of clean equipment. So we have a lot of heavy duty equipment that operates here at the seaport, and most of it runs on diesel fuel. So we have yard cranes, like you see at the top left. That one that I'm showing there is a hybrid. We have top picks on the bottom left that are used to lift up containers. And that one you're looking at is a battery electric top pick. We have locomotives, and that one is a Tier 4 locomotive, which is the cleanest that they make. We have tugboats and we have big rig trucks. And that particular big rig truck is a hydrogen fuel cell truck. And I actually had the chance to go on a ride along in it, which was very cool. There's only like 30 of them in the world, and some of them are going to be coming here to the port. We also have enormous container ships. So Luana, can you show the next slide? So that's a picture of one on the top left. The biggest source of pollution here at the port is the ships. So for that reason, one of the most important things that we do to clean the air is to plug in the ships while they're docked at our berths. So these pictures that you can see, I took these pictures too. These are the shore power plugs on the ship, and you can kind of see how big they are in relation to the person. And then looking down from the ship to the ground below are some people who are plugging the ship in to a vault in the wharf. So let's watch a video about that.
Shore power at the Port of Oakland is slashing diesel emissions. About 74% of container ships recently visiting Oakland cut their auxiliary diesel engines while docked by plugging into the landside power grid built just for this purpose. The result? Tons of diesel particulate exhaust per year are kept out of the skies.
Here at Oakland International Container Terminal, we've been plugging in ships for 6 years now. When we first got started, we were plugging in maybe 1 or 2 ships a week, and now we're plugging in anywhere from 15 to 20 ships. The plug is a lot like plugging in an appliance at home, except the difference being there's 2 plugs, and the plugs are a lot larger. 3 inches in diameter is the cord, and the plug itself is about 1.5 feet by 8 inches. It's 6,600 volts going directly to the ship, and it powers the generator, but normally would be powered by the generator, refrigeration units, the house of the vessel, and all the lighting and everything that's inside the ship.
How does it work?
Every time a ship plugs in, we're getting a huge reduction in diesel emissions here in the port.
Container ships are the largest source of diesel exhaust at the Oakland seaport. Thanks to the port and its partners, ship diesel emissions have declined 80% since 2005. Together, we're making progress, and we are going to reduce vessel emissions even more.
The Port of Oakland has been working with shipping lines to accelerate the rate of shore power adoption. It takes millions of dollars to do this, and the cooperation and coordination of multiple partners: ocean carriers and their vessel crew, harbor pilots who position 1,200-foot-long vessels precisely alongside shore power vaults, marine terminal operators, terminal mechanics who do the heavy lifting of connecting ships to the grid, and port technicians.
Container shipping lines, routinely calling California ports, are required to plug in at least 70% of their vessels. At the Port of Oakland, we are working to achieve 90% of the vessels plugging into shoreside power by 2020, so we can all breathe a little easier.
Cool. So here, oh, I saw some people asking if they were heavy. Here is one of the plugs that you saw in the video. It looks like this. That's what the plugs themselves look like. and a cap. And then on the backside, that's where the cord would come out of. It's really big and heavy, and there's 2 of them for each ship. And that's because they carry a lot of electricity. So the electricity is needed to keep the refrigerated cargo on the ship cold, and then to keep all the what they call the house running. So that's for crew comfort, like air conditioning, the lights, the pumps, the radios. If the ships didn't have the electricity, then they would be running these massive diesel generators and creating the power on board instead. And those generators create emissions. So we want to keep them off as much as possible. The port might have around 100 calls in a busy month. And something cool that I do is I keep track of every single call and every single plugin. And it's really important that we have all this data so that I can analyze trends over time and do our emissions inventories and identify things that can help us plug in even more ships. For example, if we're going to build another shore power outlet, where's the best place to put it? So.
Wow, that is so exciting. We just have talented women at the Port of Oakland who are really just helping the port to move ahead and make the air cleaner and reduce emissions. So since we're all here tonight to be air defenders, you can help too. So when we use smaller engines or no engines, that helps keep air clean. Do you have any ideas how you can reduce emissions? Let's see some ideas in the chat box. That's great. Riding bikes instead of driving, electric cars, walk more, carpooling, not driving. Oh, these are all great answers. And yes, and a lot of those involve as far as no engine. So I also want to have one more idea that's great, is using a rake instead of a gas leaf blower. And wow, there's so many great answers in here and everything else. Saving plastic bags, running Zoom meetings. Oh, wow, you're thinking about it on so many different levels. When we have a Zoom meeting, we don't have to take our car to be there in person. This is great. Well, Joanna, I just want to, as far as pass it back to you, and it's so exciting to see such an engaged audience.
Thank you so much, Luana, and thank you, Tracy. I've been excited to see those giant plugs for a long time, so thank you for sharing that with us, and for everything that you do, that you both do at the port. Tracy, I'm wondering if you are willing to answer a quick question. I saw someone was asking, what is a call? You were mentioning like all the calls that you keep track of.
Oh, sure. Sorry, that's like lingo we use all the time. It's a ship visit. So when a ship arrives and then it docks and discharges and then loads its cargo and then it leaves. So that's one call.
Oh, awesome. And you keep track of every time any ship does that at the port.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question. Keep the questions coming. You all have such great ideas, and I love how curious everyone is. All right, well, we've actually arrived at our halfway point of the night. So we're going to take a short break. And we have a great Earth Day song that we'll put up in just a minute. But while we're taking this intermission, we do have one other poll. It's our midpoint poll for the adults. So again, it's just 3 questions long. It'll launch on your screen and you should be able to finish it up pretty quickly and enjoy the break. So just stay tuned for some Earth Day music. Take a little bit of a breather and we'll come back together in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, come together, y'all. Woo! Let's go.
There are many ways we can take care of our earth. Together we can finally show her how much she is worth. For there is only one place that all of us call home. It is this pale blue dot of ours that we freely roam. We can take our cans and sort them into a different bin and buy things with less packaging to score another win. Simple things like less paper waste, stop pollution's haste, allowing all to view Mother Nature's perfect taste.
Wash out jars, cans, and other recyclables so they're clean.
Yeah,
That's a step as vital as using less polystyrene.
yeah,
Reusable bags and food containers make a lot of sense.
yeah.
It takes just a little thought to make a really big difference.
Oh yeah. Let's come together and show Mother Earth how much she's worth. Think of future generations,
Future,
but she's
y'all.
not just our Earth. Let's ensure the world
Come on.
survival.
Come on, we gotta survive,
And
y'all.
reduce, reuse, and recycle. Oh yeah.
Let's go.
We can walk instead of drive to close places every day, or ride a train or catch a bus if it's too far away. Sharing a car can limit emissions too, it's true. Sometimes biking might be the best thing that you can
Might be the
do.
best thing.
There are always lots of chores that people need to get done. All that running around in cars is never really fun. If errands were combined and finished all in one trip, it would save some gas and carbon emissions would dip.
Every effort we take to reduce the footprint we make matters more than you think, because the whole world is at stake. Tiny snowflakes join into an avalanche with power. Saving energy counts every single kilowatt hour.
Let's come together and show Mother Earth how much she's worth. Think of future generations, for she's not just
I like this.
our Earth.
Let's go.
Let's ensure the world survival.
Survive,
And
y'all.
reduce, reuse, and
Recycle. Let's go. Turn it up.
Fresh water is one of our most precious commodities. With little changes, we can make a big difference, you see. A running faucet isn't trying to run away. It's wasting water and running up your bill each day. You can also pay more attention to the foods we eat, cause some use lots of water to create that tasty treat. It takes hundreds of gallons for just 1 pound of beef.
Just one?
Smarter eating gives our world some much needed relief.
That doesn't mean we can never use water to have fun. It just means to be careful, not to let the faucet run. Sure, making changes to routines can sometimes seem tough, but life in a polluted world, that'll be pretty rough. It will.
Let's come together and show Mother Earth
Let's come
how
together.
much she's worth. Think of future generations, for she's not just our
It's not just
Earth.
Let's think about the future.
Let's ensure the world survives.
We ain't done, y'all. Let's go.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Let's go. Let's go.
Changing an old light bulb is more than an epiphany.
It really is.
It's also a good way that you conserve more energy. LEDs are just as bright and last many hours long, removing tons of emissions that really don't belong. Turning lights off to save money won't make anyone rich, but it's so very easy to flip off an unused switch.
So easy.
It will help reduce the amount of energy used, ensuring our planet's resources are not abused.
We can
Great. I love that everyone's digging the song. I know it's super catchy. I hope you did a little bit of movement during that break. Go back and listen to it again. And thank you to all the adults for completing that second poll. We'll have one more at the end of the evening. All right, but so far we've talked about some sources of pollution and why we can see some pollution in the air. learned so much about what engineers at the Port of Oakland are doing to reduce emissions. And you all shared like amazing ways that you can save energy and play your part. And this leads us into our last activity for the night. So again, this is when you can grab your STEM kit if you had one sent to you in the mail. And I'll hand it off to Alyssa and Natalie from Berkeley Labs.
All right, thanks so much, Joe. And hello, everyone. My name is Elisa, and I'm excited to share with everyone today how scientists at Berkeley Lab measure air pollution right here in the Bay Area. Then we're all going to get to create our very own pollution catchers so we can measure air quality right in your homes. So let me share my screen. There we go. Hopefully you all can see that. But this is where I work. So this is Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, or Berkeley Lab for short. And in case you haven't heard of us, we are one of the 17 Department of Energy national labs located in Berkeley, California. So scientists here work together as a team to solve some of the most challenging problems that face us today, including finding climate change solutions, developing the next generation of biofuels, and exploring the deepest parts of our cosmos. So there are scientists at Berkeley Lab who work on creating sensors to measure air pollution. And in this photo here that you see on the screen, there are actually 2 air pollution sensors. So I want to ask everyone in the audience, where do you think the air pollution sensors are in this photo? Let us know in the chat box. You can use words like towards the top or towards the bottom, maybe left or right. Oh, and I see some answers coming in. Fence, fence, gate, fence, on the fence, on the fence, right, on the right. You guys are so good. We have some scientists with some really keen observational skills right here. Great job, everyone. All right, it's right there, the 2 boxes. Taking the words right there, yep. So the 2 boxes are actually air pollution sensors. And so let's take a look at one of them. Okay, so it looks like a box, but let's open it up. And wow, that's pretty cool. So let's kind of figure out how this works. So the boxes aren't really closed. Air can actually flow through it. And in the box, there's actually a filter. So if there are pollutants in the air, it gets stuck in the filter, which then blocks light that goes through it. So this is totally similar to what you all just learned earlier about like smog and the hazy skies, right? That's caused by air pollution. It's just the filter gets, dirtier with the pollution. So the sensor is actually all these cool circuit looking stuff here, okay? Like these circuit board looking stuff. And they are just measuring how much light gets to them. So imagine the filter is like really dirty with all these pollutants, then not much light can get to the sensor. And that's how we can measure how bad the air quality is, or how many air pollutants there are in the air. So Berkeley Lab has placed these sensors around the Bay Area, from Richmond to Oakland, including the Port of Oakland, in order to collect data about the air pollution levels. And Berkeley Lab scientists hope that local communities can use this data to push for policies that can reduce air pollution. So today, I know we're super excited to get our hands on and create our own air pollution sensors, or I guess air pollution catchers. And I'm really excited to introduce everyone to Natalie, a research scientist at Berkeley Lab. And her research involves studying tiny living things that we can't see with our eyes, called microbes. But today she's going to help us catch some of the tiniest pollutants at home. So Natalie, can you show us how we can make our own pollution catchers?
All right, Lisa, let's make our own pollution catcher.
Yes.
So to make the pollution catcher, we will need a paper plate. We will need some crayons or markers that you can use to decorate the back of your plate with some Earth Day inspired art. We will also need a pen or anything that you can use to punch a hole in the paper plate. We will need a string we will need petroleum jelly or Vaseline and a magnifying glass to observe our results later. But first, let's discuss how and where, especially, we will hang our pollution catcher. Where do you think we can put our pollution catcher to test the quality of the air? You can answer in the chat. At home, yeah. At school, yes, definitely. We spend a lot of hours there, so it would be good to know how the air is. Outside, and where outside? Do you have more ideas of where outside we could put it? Basement and main floor, yeah. Yes, and you received, I think, 2 paper plates, so you will be able to make 2 pollution catchers and compare things. So you could put one outdoor and one indoor. Kitchen, yeah, parking lot. Yeah. In your room, hopefully it's clean. Okay, I think anywhere where particle matters from cars or dust will accumulate would do, but you guys have great ideas. Okay, so let's make our catcher. So let's take our plate. Okay, and the first thing that we will do is that we will use a pen or maybe something else to punch a hole in the plate like this. Okay, so hopefully you all have a hole. And then we will take a string.
Oh, Natalie, should we put the hole anywhere on the plate, or should we put it on the edge like you're doing?
Yes, on the edge would be better. And you can actually use something else. If you don't have anything to punch a hole, you could even use masking tape or anything that will help you to hold the plate somewhere. So my hole is not big enough, so I'm going to make it bigger like this. Perfect. You could even use those kind of clips. If you, for example, you want to hang it, do you see that?
Yep. Oh, the paper clips.
Yeah, if you want to hang it to a fence or something like this, you could make 2 or 4 holes and hang it with this. Then you attach the string. And you will be able to hang it after. Okay, then we will take our petroleum jelly and I will use a spoon to spread it, but you could use something else or your fingers even. So let's take a generous amount of this and then rub it all over the plate. We want to have a thick layer and cover the entire plate. And the cool thing is that the petroleum jelly is sticky. So it's going to trap all the particulate matter on the plate. So usually we don't really see the pollution in the particulate matter in the air, but with time, they will accumulate on the plate. Okay. And as the petroleum jelly is clear, then when they accumulate, we will be able to see them. Perfect. All right.
Ooh, okay, so Natalie, can you go over the steps again for our audience? Just, you don't have to redo it, but just walk through the steps again, just so we're all on the same page and we can do this.
Yeah, you didn't hear me. Oh,
no, we heard you.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, we can just go over the steps. Let's just review. Yeah.
Okay. So take a paper plate, make a hole with a pen or anything that you would like at the edge. Use a string that you pass through the hole, attach the string, and then take some petroleum jelly, rub it all over the plate in a thick layer, and the petroleum jelly will trap the particulate matter of the air, and you will be able to see the particulate matter later on. And then you can hang
Awesome.
this.
Thank you.
Then you can hang this at the location of your choice. And now you can observe it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, even longer. You can observe your plates and see how the particulate matter spread over the plates. Are they all over the plate, or are they in some specific areas? Do they have the same size or different size? Are they of the same color, or do they have different colors? And you can compare your plates. So not everything that you see. Use your magnifying glass if you have one, and be a real scientist.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. And I am just really excited to see what everyone's pollution catchers are going to look like in a couple weeks. So yeah, and I'm going to pass it back to Joe for the last poll of the night and our raffle.
Thank you so much, Alyssa and Natalie. I made 2 also. I'm very excited. I think I'm going to put one near the street in the front of my house, and maybe one in the back away from the street. And I wonder if people think which one might collect some more pollution, the one near the street or the one far from the street. Any theories or hypotheses that we want to share? You all are spot on tonight. I think you're right. That's what I think too. I'm pretty sure that the one closest to the street is going to collect more particulates, but I'm really excited to check back in a couple weeks and see what happens. Thank you both so much for leading us through that activity. All right, so we have already somehow come to the end of our evening. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the event, we do have one more poll, and we have a raffle. So first, we're going to launch our final set of questions. Oh, wait, I want to respond to that. That's a really great idea. I just saw in the chat. My backyard does have a lot of trees and plants, and I bet it will collect a lot of pollen. That was a really good idea. Okay, like I was saying, we're going to launch our last set of questions for the evening before we announce our raffle winners. So please help us out by just answering those questions. You'll have just a couple of minutes. Scientific Adventures for Girls has been working really hard throughout this year to host a variety of virtual family STEAM nights for you and your family to enjoy. And your feedback is just so helpful for us to find ways to improve our events and create future events for you. So thank you again for your participation and for answering all of our questions. All right. Now I did see one question come up in our Q&A box, and I'm wondering if our folks from the Port of Oakland can answer it. The question was, how do you get the energy for the ships?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And I'm really glad that it was brought up so that I could get a chance to answer it, because I'm really proud of this answer. So the port is actually a utility, which most people don't know, but we're like PG&E. And so we buy our own electricity. And something special that we do is we buy 100% solar and wind power for the ships while they're here. So all the ships while they're at port are running on zero carbon electricity while they're here.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. Not enough people do, but it's a really cool thing that we do here. No other port does that.
That's so great. Tracy, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for your question. Again, if you have other questions, please add them to the Q&A or stick around at the very end and you can ask your questions. All right, but I think we are finally arriving at our raffle for tonight. So we have some great prizes, some fun swag from Berkeley Lab and some other Earth Day themed prizes. So we will announce our winners based on the name of the person who registered. So we're going to share a screen with our wheel of names, and that's how we'll pick the winners. If your name is called, please go ahead and send a private message to panelists in the Zoom chat. just with your name and email so we can make sure that we can follow up with you after the event about how to collect your prizes. All right, here we go. Let's see who our first winner is. Pamela, you are our first winner, so please go ahead and send us a message directly to the panelists with your name and email, and we'll make sure to connect with you. All right, winner number 2, here we go. Awesome, Razu, and now this is our the person who asked our question as well. So congratulations on being our second winner. All right, and we'll have our third and final raffle winner for the evening. Our third winner is May. Congratulations, May. Thank you to all of our participants. All right, so like I said, please send a message to us with your email. Great, I see those coming in already. Congratulations to all of our raffle prize winners, and thank you so much for joining us this evening and showing that you care about the air. Thank you to Sandia National Labs, Berkeley Lab, and Port of Oakland for collaborating and putting on such an exciting event with us. And feel free to check us out on all of our social media pages and follow along as we continue to bring science into your homes. If you'd like to stick around, some of our collaborators will stay on for a couple of minutes to answer any other questions that you have. And if not, have a great night. Awesome, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Oh, we host Family STEAM Night every month. So our next one will be about the 3rd week of May. We have one more this school year. Awesome, thank you everybody. Great, I'm so glad everyone had a great time. We'll stick around for just another minute or two and see if anyone has any other questions. Chloe, we're not quite ready to have you sign up for the next one, but stay tuned. You'll get an email from us soon. Oh, awesome, Luana, it seems like someone knows you.
Yes, I from Brazen Racing. So yes, it's the same Luana.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, I think if we don't have any other questions, we can wrap it up for the night. Oh, Alyssa, your cat's here. Thank you all so much for joining. So appreciative.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Great job, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, have a good night.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks.
Thanks. It was so cool. I can't wait to put up my pollution catcher.
I know.
Yeah, we learned a lot of
back.
stuff about the pod, so that's great. Thanks for explaining all of this.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.